Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Nerd Herders. My name is Rich.
I'm Nick.
And we are, of course, from the Over a Beer channel. So every show that we do is, in fact, over a beer. What are we drinking today, Nick?
Alright, so we have a Florida beer here. We are based out of Florida.
Yeah.
From the Florida Beer Company, we have the Swamp Ape, a double India Pale Ale. What is a Swamp Ape, you might ask? Well, we'll let you know. First-hand accounts describe an intense beast with a potent aroma and bite, proof that the elusive mystery monster exists, or proof that brewing with 5 distinct varieties of hops creates an unbelievable, relentlessly hopped India Pale Ale. One taste and you'll know Swamp Ape is real. So,
Got an angry-looking ape. I've had this before.
oh, okay.
Long time ago.
Good.
I remember liking it a lot.
All right, let's see. That's one.
Yep.
Taste it. Tasty, little delicious swamp dirty ape.
That's still really good. I still like
It's
it.
good. All right, so that's the beer of the week. Check us out on Untappd, which is an app, over a beer, one word on there, where we will rate this.
Yeah.
And you'll know exactly what we thought.
Yeah, and you can check out all the beers that we drink on this show, and of course on our beer review show that is up now.
Yeah, check it out.
I don't know what we're drinking this week, but check out tomorrow on Tuesday.
Yep.
Every Tuesday at youtube.com/overabeer.
Do that.
But it is the beginning of the week, so it is the time for our top stories. So we got a movie top story.
We do.
Nick, what are we talking about today? What's our
Today,
movie top
our
story?
movie story is a TV story.
Oh,
Right?
sure.
Yeah.
That works.
Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah.
What did you think we were doing?
I don't know. We threw a couple things out. We kind of talked about a couple different things.
That's what we're going to talk about,
Okay,
though.
cool.
We're going to talk about, so there's a rumor going around town that DC Television is trying to make the appropriate deals to get Batman into their DC universe of TV shows. So Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl all on the CW. It's unclear whether they want to make a 5th show, which would be a Batman show, or if they want Batman to appear on these. The reason that this is the top story is, first of all, that would be really freaking cool, in my opinion. And two, well, there's a couple of reasons. The main reason is the story has always been that Batman has not appeared on DC television shows in the last 20 years, going back to Smallville or even Lois and Clark, because they didn't want it to be confusing for audiences to have Batman in live action movies as well as in the TV show.
And then they went ahead and, made a new Flash and brought in a second Superman. And...
Right. But it's still always the story was, oh, well, the Nolan movies.
Sure.
Oh, well, Ben Affleck. But it turns out that might not have always been true, because the rumor is they're trying to make a deal with Fox to give up the rights to allow them to have Batman in their shows, because Fox has actually held the TV rights since the 1966 Batman show. And so they've never been honest about it. They've never been forthright about that until now.
My first question
go ahead.
about the story is then what's the deal with Gotham? Is that on? I don't remember which channel.
Gotham is on Fox.
Is it on? Okay.
It's not connected to the other DC television shows, the CW ones, in any way. And even on that, like Batman, Bruce Wayne is still a young boy. The rumor with that show has always been the show will eventually end with him becoming Batman in like the last episode or whatever. But yeah, they're not connected or anything.
I couldn't remember what station that was on, what network ran that.
Right.
And so my first thought was, well, wait a second, who's running Gotham, because that's Bruce Wayne, and where did the rights for that begin in? But if Fox has that show, then that makes sense that they would have all the Batman rights.
Exactly, right. So personally, I've thought that has long been a really dumb reason not to include characters in these shows. To think that audiences just won't understand that there are, movies and TV and there's a difference between the two is really dumb to me.
Sure.
It would be confusing, if instead of having Ezra Miller as the Flash in the movies, they had Grant Gustin play the Flash in the movies as well as in the TV show, but then it was a different Batman.
Or if they've kept everybody separated, Flash, Superman separate in TV shows, and then Ben Affleck shows up as Batman in the TV.
But that's not what they're doing.
No.
And so I think that a lot of this, bringing Supergirl over to the CW, and some of the other changes that they've made and being open to including these characters. Superman is going to be on Supergirl this season, which is another thing they said they wouldn't do. I think a lot of this stems from Jeff Johns being put into a place of power in DC, entertainment, because I think that he is someone who is smart enough to realize audiences are not dumb. They're going to understand these are two separate universes. It's very clear if you watch the Flash TV show that it is not in the dark, serious, foreboding world.
Well, the fact that they've already done that, to have two separate Flashes, and audiences are okay with that is proof, should be proof enough to them that it's like, oh, audiences can handle two universes.
In a way. I mean, what little we saw of the Flash in BVS, I still feel like anyone who didn't realize what was going on had no idea that was the Flash that we saw.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell if people would be confused, honestly, yet. The only people that really realized are people that would understand that regardless. But I really think this all stems back to Jeff Johns. He started off in comics, of course, but he did write for Smallville. He wrote for Flash. He wrote for Arrow. So like he has an admiration for the TV side of things. Yeah. I think it'd be really cool. Would you be more inclined to check out these shows if Batman was in them, or to watch a Batman television series if it was a weekly thing? It's Batman.
I would probably be more interested in watching the Batman show if it did a show for it. If he shows up in the other shows, I would just kind of be like, well, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to catch up on 4 seasons of whatever just to watch this episode where Batman shows up. But if they started a show, I'd consider giving that a shot.
Yeah. Which is, I'm sure, exactly what they want. It's hard to imagine, though, CW having 5 DC shows. They're one of those networks that has 10 o'clock news, so they only have 2 hours of programming at night. Mm-hmm. So to literally give legitimately half of your lineup to these shows, they are their highest rated shows, so maybe they would. But at a point, you might as well just change CW to DC. But I'd be all for it. I think this is really cool. I love the idea of getting these characters in the TV show, because they've set up a really cool extended universe on those shows. So, any other thoughts on that? Is there any other characters that you would like to see, have TV shows, or what are your thoughts in general about the fact that they did cast a different Flash and they in the movie from the show? Do you have any issue with that at all?
Not really. I mean, because they've been clear that these are 2 separate universes. It's, Marvel's, as much as they're separate, as much as their TV arm and their movie arm are separate, they've still, said these are the, they've had Samuel Jackson show up in S.H.I.E.L.D., and they've referenced in the Netflix shows, they've referenced stuff that's happened kind of in Avengers a little bit.
Which is, in my opinion, to the detriment of the TV side.
Sure.
They chose to go down that route, because I think having separate universes for DC on TV has strengthened TV. The movies are still trying to find their footing. But in the Marvel shows, especially with S.H.I.E.L.D., they frequently, it feels like they are just pigeonholing story to somehow make it connect with what's going on in the Marvel universe, when they never are going to get Chris Evans to show up as Captain America, and they're never going to get Chris Hemsworth to show up, and you feel it feels very forced, even in those moments in Daredevil season 1, when they just constantly have to talk about the Battle of New York, when it doesn't really seem like there ever was anything like that in the world that they're showing. I kind of wish that the TV stuff was different. But
part of it, I think, is it's the way these different universes were set up. Marvel, nothing from Marvel TV was happening until Iron Man. Until the ball started rolling on the cinematic universe. Let's have this TV arm. We're going to have S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's going to connect. And then it just kind of snowballed from there of now Marvel's going to do this Daredevil show, and then we're going to have this Avengers thing, Defenders. Whereas DC, it had I think just Man of Steel was out when Arrow started. When did Arrow start?
Arrow...
Or it was before Man of Steel, wasn't
I think they came out maybe in the same year. Man of Steel was that summer, and Arrow debuted that fall.
So they hadn't quite been we're going to establish this universe, where then the TV side of DC was building that universe, and then they were look at what Marvel's doing. We got to do the same thing with our movies.
Yeah.
But since they had, they didn't want to have that crossover.
Yeah.
They don't want one probably assumed to affect the other negatively after the reception of Man of Steel.
Yeah, totally. And I do wish that Marvel had followed suit, because the annoying thing is, it's understandable that you're not going to get Chris Hemsworth, like I said, to show up on S.H.I.E.L.D. What isn't understandable to me is why we can't, if you can't have those characters come into the TV show, but it's in the same universe, why have the TV series characters never appeared in the movies?
Sure.
Even in the smallest of ways. Like, when S.H.I.E.L.D. went down in Winter Soldier, why didn't we at least see one person from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that type of thing? Like, it's annoying. It seems like it'd be a lot easier to get one of those TV actors into the movies than it is.
I mean, I don't know why Clark Gregg hasn't. I mean, would be the obvious choice to
I really don't get that.
Bring back now, especially at this point. You argue that his death is sort of what brought them together in the first Avengers, and then, they kept it a secret because they didn't want to risk splitting it up. But now would be the time to bring him back to.
And
whatever.
And I mean, you kind of get why they do it in a way. Like, it's like what you said, like, you'd be more inclined to watch a new Batman show than have him show up on a show that you'd have to watch 4 seasons to catch up on. All of a sudden, if the S.H.I.E.L.D. characters started popping up in the movies, people who don't watch it would be like, nah, I gotta watch 65 episodes of that show to understand what's going on in these movies that I already have to see 2 of a year to really get the whole story. So you get it, but then it's like, then why did you ever do this crossover?
But see, it seems to me, and this is what I've always kind of put about the Marvel movies, is it's in the Marvel universe in general, is they have replicated what comic books have been doing really well. If you want to just watch the Captain America movies, you can watch that. But if you want more of the story, then you can watch these other things. And then there's this side series that's called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And if you want extra stories, you can do that. And maybe sometimes there's crossover, maybe sometimes there isn't. And it's like, they killed Clark Gregg's character off, and now they spun off into his own series of this. And then there's the other 4 side stories that'll be the Netflix series. And if you want the biggest picture, you can watch everything. But if you don't, you don't have to invest that much time.
And in comics, you make a good point. But in comics, there is a monthly Avengers. Yeah. And every once in a while, there's that universe combining event that includes everything. And maybe that is what Infinity War will be. And maybe we will get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s characters. And we will get Daredevil and Luke Cage and those characters in that movie. And that would be exciting. Especially
now that Inhumans is, up in the air. Now, then that would be the bring us, okay, well, we may not do Inhumans, but let's give Clark Gregg and I can't remember the lead for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whatever her name is.
Chloe Bennett.
Yeah, let's give them their moment in
Infinity which would be really cool. But this all did stem back from the news of maybe by the time you're watching this, there will be some deal in place to somehow get Batman into that universe, which I'm all for. I'm totally about that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Hopefully it happens. That's this week's top movie/TV news. Thank you for watching. What do you think of that story? What do you think about? Do you like the way how DC does it on TV and movies better than Marvel, or vice versa? Let us know. Tweet at me. I'm at Stocks.
I'm at Rich Belson, and you can tweet the channel at OABeer_official. Find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/overabeer, and Instagram at over_a_beer. And of course, YouTube at youtube.com/overabeer, where every Tuesday we do a beer review. So tomorrow we'll have one posted. The day after you're watching this, the day that this goes live. And then Friday on iTunes and SoundCloud.com/overbeer and other podcast services. You can check out the Overbeer podcast that Nick and I do. Dana's on there. We have some guests that show up sometimes. It's a much more off-topic conversational podcast. But that'll wrap things up for today's top story. So until next time, drink up.